The Southern African Communications Industries Association, SACIA, is a SACWA-recognized professional body active in the entertainment and communications industry across Southern Africa. It is specifically designed to promote the adoption of professional standards and ethical business practice, and seeks to further the interests of members through partnership and representation on a range of issues. The association awards several designations based on an individual's education, work experience, and business ethics. Individuals applying for a designation also participate in an assessment of competence, either writing an online exam or providing a portfolio of evidence which supports their claim of competence. The association is a member-driven organization. It is governed by a board of directors elected by the members, with an executive director and support staff appointed to manage association activities. On February 27, 2024, we presented graduates with certificates.
So the association had various ups and downs. We started the process of developing designations. We made good progress. We tripped, we fell. We went through a phase where for every step forward, we took 2 steps backward. And in 2019, CEPA was incorporated as a special interest group within SACIA, the Southern African Communications Industries Association. My name's Kevan Jones, and I'm the Executive Director of SACIA, and I have been for 15 years. SACIA then took the work that had been done by the previous committee and built upon it. We registered the designations with SACWA, the South African Qualifications Authority. We worked with academia and various industry stakeholders in order to develop assessment criteria that could be used to determine the competence of people working in the events industry. In exactly the same way that the original CEPA board experienced challenges, so did we. We went through a phase where we were ready to throw in the towel, but we persevered, and at the end of this 10-year journey, we now find ourselves in a situation where we've been through the process of developing and are now able to award professional designations that recognize the skill, the competence, the knowledge, and the expertise of people working in the events industry. It's been a long, tiresome process, and we're very excited about the fact that we can stand here today and award designations to various individuals. And there are a couple of things that are really interesting that have come out of this process. The first is to say that when we were conducting the assessments, one of the things that we did is we looked at the pathways into the events industry. We had anticipated that there would be many people working in the sector that had been through a formal program of learning and skills development. We worked very closely with the universities to develop an assessment tool that was academically robust. And yet when we did our assessment, out of the 25 people that are receiving designations today, only one of those 25 had a formal qualification in the events management, hospitality, or tourism sector. I'll tell you who that is when we deliver the certificates. But the vast majority of people that are being awarded designations today didn't come through formal academic pathways. They were perhaps, in some cases, they were secretaries or they were managers in a marketing department, and they'd been given the task of organizing an event. And hey presto, they did a good job, so they did it again and again, and they got better over time, and all of a sudden they became an event manager. That's an exciting way to get into any industry, but it's also actually very dangerous, because it means that bad work habits are perpetuated again and again and again because people simply don't know better. So what we've tried to do as a professional body is to work closely with academics, with industry stakeholders, with established event management companies to establish standards and to award designations based on those standards. So this is an exciting day, and I want to award designations to people that have applied. Just to give you an idea, the process that they've been through is one in which, as a starting point, they needed to write a 100-question multiple-choice exam that looked at all elements of the MBOK competency matrix. It was a tough exam. In the build-up to this meeting, I was speaking to various people who told me that it was a sweat-inducing experience. And even for people that have been in the industry for a very long time, it was a real challenge. And then once they had written and passed the online examination, they had to provide a portfolio of evidence supporting their claim of competence, outlining their experiences in event management. That portfolio was then assessed by a panel of expert practitioners, and based on the assessment and based on their exam results, we then award one of 3 designations, the associate level designation, the practitioner level, and then the professional level. And essentially what these do is they sit at different NQF levels. So in order to earn the event associate designation, a candidate needs to hold an NQF level 5 qualification and have several years experience working in the events industry. And as we go up through the levels, practitioner and professional, they need a higher level of academic qualification and a greater number of years relevant work experience. So it's a tiered approach, and what it does is it provides a career pathway for people that are entering and working in the events industry. There are a couple of people that I wanted to introduce, and perhaps just as a starting point to acknowledge Glenn van Eck as the founding chair of the CEPA board. He's been involved in this process from the very beginning for 10 years. I know that Glenn has had instances where he's been absolutely ready to throw in the towel, and he's I'm sure, very grateful for the fact that we're in a situation today where the designations can now be launched. So Glenn, perhaps if you could just stand up and allow us to recognise you. Standing at the back of the room, Tinus Smit is the SACIA board chair. Likewise, Tinus and I have worked on this project for many years, and we could not have done it without combined input of all stakeholders within SACIA. So, Tinus, thank you very much. And then the last person that I'd like to recognise is Rudi. Rudi is the current chair of the CEPA Council, also a member of the SACIA board. When Rudi started working on this program, he was the chief executive at SACIA, and although he's no longer an executive with SACIA, has been very involved in this process for the last 7 or 8 years. Rudi, can I ask you just to come up and share some comments and insights before we award the certificates?
Thank you, Kevin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome. I want to congratulate all the professionals that will be receiving their designations today. I want to say it's long overdue, but I think that might be a little harsh. And I think everyone involved with the process over the last, as Kevin mentioned, Glenn for about 10 years, us for 7, 8 years. Yes, it was at times stop and start, and at times it did feel overwhelming and we wanted to throw in the towel. But it's because the process was entered into such an in-depth manner. We've truly turned the book upside down, inside out, looked at international best practices, standards. We've really taken the focus that Africa is not only a world-class event destination, but a world-leading event destination. And our professionals should really reflect that as well in the manner that we conduct ourselves ethically, as well as the experience that we have and how we host events in Africa. I mean, it's really everything we do is an advert for the entire continent, not only our country. So, yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I think we've got a nice round of people that we'd like to celebrate today. And maybe just to give a bit of figures, One thing that is very encouraging to us as well is during December we had just over 100, I think 100 professionals that have actually written the exam. Roughly about half of them passed the exam. We don't want those that didn't pass to be discouraged. We are putting some webinars, those type of programs in place to just have a look at where can we as the body assist, because we want to professionalize this industry. So we will be putting that in place. Don't be discouraged. About 50% of those 100 passed it, and of course after that, part of the process is to provide a portfolio of evidence. And that is similar to any other industry that is truly professionalized. So I think you'll find a lot of similarities between what we're trying to do with the professionalization of the industry in terms of the medical industry, the legal industry, the financial services industry. We're not really reinventing the wheel in terms of professionalization. It was just a hard slog to get it right and to get it fit for purpose for the events industry. So once again, congratulations to all the professionals, and I really hope that you become advocates, that you see the value, that you engage with us. We would love you to be involved. This will be an ever-evolving project, especially with the events industry. We never stand still, and thus our question bank, the way that we test our exam will constantly evolve to keep abreast of the trends and what is needed for the events industry. So congratulations again, and we hope to engage with you a lot going forward. Thanks, Kevan.
So I've sorted our certificates into alphabetical order. So if your name is Aaron, then you should know that you're going to come up first. When you come up to collect your certificate, please come up on this stage and remember to look back at the camera so that we can document this process. The first certificate does not go to Aaron. It goes to John Arvinatakis. There you go. Lots of applause at the back. Along with the certificate, people will also receive a designation pin. Lisa has the pins, so once you've got your certificate, please speak to Lisa and get your designation pin if you have not received it already. And the next certificate goes to Belinda Aslett. Thank you. Well done. Here you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have a certificate for gentleman Sharif Baker. Sharif is the immediate past chair of SACIA. He's also the chair of our Event Safety Council. Currently, he's working in Rwanda, and he has asked that John Ntingegwa, is that correct, collect the certificate on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you can get the pin from Lisa. There are all sorts of people that are receiving certificates today, and one of the most interesting that I came across was a gentleman who's next on the list, Chris Boshoff. Chris worked for most of his life in local government and has been involved in organising events and activities in that local government sector. And he came along to me at the beginning of the process and he said, you know, I'm in my 60s. I haven't written the exam for 40 years. Many people were scared about this process, but Chris particularly so. He did very well in the exam, he did very well in the assessment, and I'm very pleased to be able to award a certificate to Chris Bussoff. Thank you very much. The next person is a little younger than Chris. On occasions, I think he's still a little boy. But he sent me a message this morning saying that he'd put on his long pants for the day. Chad Buerta. Well done.
Thank you.
There you go. Another person that's been involved in the industry for several years with a specific focus on IT also phoned me before this exam. He said, you know, I work only in the IT space. I don't know if I'm going to crack this exam. But he did. Gavin Burgess. Well done.
Thank you.
I'm not going to share little stories for everybody. The next person to receive a certificate, Corne Engelbrecht. I can tell a story if you like.
I do.
But I don't think you want to do that.
Thank you.
A few people weren't able to attend and receive their certificate. I want to acknowledge Grant Friars, Chair of the TPSA Council, has been awarded a certificate, but unfortunately not able to receive it today. Next on the list, Chanel Gao, also not able to achieve, not here. So on the list next, I promised that I would share this story. Dale Hammond is the only one of the candidates that had a formal qualification in hospitality. So Dale is the next certificate recipient. So Dale, if you could come up, and if it's okay with you, I'll give you Chanel's certificate as well. They work together. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Adele Hardigan from the NASREC Centre received a certificate, unfortunately not able to join us. Alan Genji from Zimbabwe receiving a certificate but not able to join us today. William Kuyuni receiving a certificate today. He's one of the candidates from Uganda and not able to attend, but he's asked a colleague, Kyle Smith, who I believe is in the audience. Ah, here we are. I'd never met Kyle. I didn't know who he was. There you go. On his behalf.
On his behalf.
Okay. Is Tish Loving in the audience? Tish Loving has received a certificate. So here we are. I need to apologise again to Fararai Mabodza. We've been speaking to each other for about a year in various online platforms, but we'd never met each other in person. And she came up to me yesterday and had a conversation, and I was very embarrassed because I didn't actually know who she was. I've apologised already to her, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to award a certificate to her. And Fararai, if I can at the same time, I'm going to give you Alan's certificate as well. Let's do it this way. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, well, they're having a little sisterly love-in there at the front. Many of the people receiving certificates today are very experienced in event management and event leadership, but the way that we've designed our designations is that they are as relevant to people working in community events as they are to people working in business and sporting and music events. And this next certificate is particularly pleasing to me. I'm awarding it to Hwari Mesameni, whose speciality is community events, particularly working with the local community police forum in Northwest Province. Thank you. And this next certificate I'm equally chuffed about because Nico Minyuku was the first person to write our exam. You know, before I was out there beating the drum, she beat me to it. She wrote the exam and she passed She was doing some work for Cricket South Africa. She's the event manager at Supersport Park in Centurion. I want to recognise her as the front runner in this awards race. So well done. Thank you. That's okay. Okay, well done. Our next certificate I'm presenting to Machepo Njilo. Machepo, not here? Here? Not here. I should recognise Amy Patrickson. Amy is a young lady who lives in Corsica, of all places. You know, when we were marketing these designations, we spread our reach fairly wide, and Peter Swart encouraged her to write the exam, and she has passed. And perhaps, Peter, when you come up for your certificate, I can give you Amy's as well. A young lady that I've done quite a lot of work with over the years. We worked together on the DSAC Transformation Forum. Phoebe Pokompe. And Phoebe missing at the moment. Marco, I don't think is in the in today's meeting. He's in East London. Oh, well, there you go. Now we're down to the S's, you see. You saw that Marco Sale is his surname. So our next designation goes to a young lady who wrote our event safety designation probably 2.5 years ago, and 3 years ago, she says, and still hadn't provided me with her portfolio of evidence until yesterday. Angelique Smith. Okay. You want a picture of Angelique? Yes. There you go. Okay. And to prove that it's not just the ladies, our next certificate goes to Peter Swart. So we're down to some of the more experienced event organisers in the country.
Thank you, Kevan.
Thank you. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. I spoke earlier about Glenn van Eck being the founding chair of the association. Glenn was also one of the people that was very reluctant to write the exam. And so, again, I take great pleasure in presenting Glenn with his certificate. Well done.
Thanks very much.
Good. Thank you. And I'm sure Rudi's experienced this many times with a surname like van der Vyver. The last certificate goes to our current CEPA chair and a member of the SACIA board, Rudi van der Vyver. Rudi and I have worked very closely together over the last 5 years to bring these designations to the point where they are at the moment. I want to thank everybody that serves on the CEPA Council, Lisa Veldhaken from TUT, who's the Council Vice Chair, and all of the other members. This really has been, for many of us, a labour of love. We've launched the designations now in South Africa. Africa is the next step. We see these as a pan-African organisation. Actually, I just fibbed. Malemwa Mungu is our Vice Chair. Yeah, Lisa's the Vice Chair of the Event Safety Council. But through Malemwa, we're working actively to market these designations throughout Africa. We're going to be actively participating in the IPZ conference that's taking place in Zimbabwe next month. If you want more information about that conference, have a chat with Fararai at the back. If you want more information about what we're doing in Africa, have a chat with Malemwa. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, welcome to ask now. Otherwise, address me on an individual basis. Yes.
How many certificates were awarded?
So the gentleman asked the question, how many certificates were awarded in total? And the answer is 25.